In this video, I'm continuing my two-part series on homemaking when everything is overwhelming and the topic of overwhelm when everything just seems out of control. In the last video, I gave 7 lessons that I've learned through the years on dealing with overwhelm and overcoming overwhelm. We talked about overwhelm triggers. Be sure to watch that video in conjunction with this one. I have been working hard this last few days to get out of the hole that a series of unfortunate events landed us in. So I will be homemaking in this video. I'm going to make some spring rolls, apple crisp, do a little homemaking. I'll give you a little tour around the homestead and share some Bible verses that have been helping me lately that I know can help you as well.
I was birthed in the mountains under the sun.
One thing that can lead to overwhelm or trigger and start overwhelm in a homemaker is when everything is uncertain. As fate would have it, the day that I published part 1 of this series, my husband came home from work and had a spot of bad news. For the second time this year, the contractors that he works for, who are usually booked up for a couple years, suddenly have no work. It appears a recession has hit our area. My husband's a carpenter. Usually our area is hopping with work, but it appears between the tariffs and tax increases in our state, things have reached a screeching halt in our area. I have to be honest, I'm surprised that this didn't happen sooner. It is not completely unexpected. It is, however, another thing adding to overwhelm. The last 2 months for me have been a kind of like being thrown out into the deep end of the pool, and they have really challenged me and caused me to go much deeper into the lessons that I have learned through the years and just really set some deeper roots, I guess you could say. It's been a test. This last 2 months have been a test. This last 2 months has brought challenges that have even caused my faith to be challenged and grow deeper. So as I am making this video about overwhelm and when life just seems out of control, we are quite literally living on a prayer right now. One lesson that I've learned in times like this that it seems the Lord is really driving home to me is that whenever something seems to be not working out, it's because He has a better plan. And it's easy to say that after an event and after things work out, but it's actually really hard in the midst of the situation in that valley to truly believe in that. In times past, though, I've learned that when those storms of life are just overwhelming, the sooner that I can keep my eyes on Christ and say, okay, it's gonna work out, there's just a bigger plan that I'm not seeing yet, it drives out fear. And once the fear is gone, it's easier to see more clearly. And when you can see more clearly and think more clearly, it's easier to see what that better plan is a lot more quickly than it is if you're living in a place of fear and doubt. My husband and I have the YouVersion Bible app on our phone. And last week, as I was in the midst of just feeling overwhelmed with all of the things that seem to be going wrong lately, the Bible verse came through on my app, and it's Psalms 34:19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. It came at absolute perfect timing, just when I needed to be reminded of that verse. In a world world where the prosperity gospel has kind of taken over, in a world where so many of us are even taught to believe that if we are walking with the Lord and if we are doing the right thing, we will be blessed and everything will be peachy. I personally have known people in my life who love to say that, well, God is cursing you when things don't go well. But according to this verse, the righteous will be afflicted. We will face trials and tribulations, which it also says in, I believe it's James. But according to this verse, even though we will face trials and afflictions, the Lord delivers the righteous. And that's what we need to remember. Within less than an hour after my husband told me about his work situation, as we were both feeling nervous, his phone went off. His Bible app popped up with the verse of the day. He didn't get it in the morning like usual because where he was working that day, he didn't have phone service. So it came through that evening. He looked at his phone and said, well, isn't this the perfect verse for right now? It was Hebrews 11, verse 1. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen. In Matthew 14, we read the story about how Jesus walked on water, and one of his disciples, Peter, saw, and he wanted to give it a try. So Jesus said, come, and Peter did. He got out of the boat, started walking on water. As he was walking toward Jesus, he looked around and saw the wind, and he became afraid. Beginning to sink, he cried, Lord, save me. And Jesus saved him and said, you of little faith, why did you doubt? I'll share a couple verses that have really encouraged me lately. It's Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. And one of my old favorites, Psalm 61:2. From the ends of the earth, I will cry unto thee when my heart is overwhelmed. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I.
There can't be no light if darkness don't exist. He never left my side. He showed me the way out of all the storms raging at the sea. He gave me back my life. I owe him everything. Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice in the name of the Lord. Forever and always I rejoice, rejoice, rejoice in the name of the Lord.
One thing falls apart, another comes together. What is that tip that I was telling you about in the beginning of this video that always helps in those really intense, overwhelmed moments? I figured this tip out when I had little tiny babies. It was, I think after my fourth child was born, maybe my third, might have been my third or fourth, I can't remember which one anymore. But after one of them was born, I realized that when they were crying, when maybe another kid was crying, I needed to make dinner, and everything was just coming down at once, I would tell myself, okay, breathe, and just maybe 5 minutes, this will all be over and everybody will be calming down. I'll be calming down and it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. So I call it the 5-minute rule, where I just remind myself, 5 minutes, I probably won't feel this way anymore. I won't feel so bad. It's remembering that if I can just breathe through the next few minutes, in 5 more minutes, it's gonna be better. It's gonna be much better. I still use this tip today because I still needed today, even though I don't have little babies anymore, sadly. I miss that. But I still use this tip when it just feels like everything is caving down around me, and it always helps when I remember to do it. Take it moment by moment. Real quick, I got some shots of our house all tidied up before we got productive and it got messy again. Wanted to share more about that 5-minute tip. So sometimes in 5 minutes, it's not calm. When that happens, I just put on repeat and I say, well, in another 5 minutes, it will be calm. Usually, it doesn't take more than 2 or 3 repeats before things are back to calm again. When you're a new homemaker and a new mother, or even if you're a seasoned homemaker and mother, and too many things happen at once and we get knocked off balance, it takes practice to get back to calm. There's times in life where, as a homemaker and a mother, and then if you've got homesteading and homeschooling in with that too, there are going to be many times where it just feels kind of like overwhelming. But I found that things that used to overwhelm me 20 years ago, 10 years ago, they don't overwhelm me as bad now because I got stronger. And that's what happens. You do learn how to ride the storm. Sometimes there are things we can do to eliminate stress and overwhelm, but sometimes the Lord is trying to teach us how to ride the storm and walk on water. And He gives us a lot because He knows that with Him, we can do it. But when we take our eyes off of Him, we'll sink. All we need to do is remember to keep our eyes on Him. In the previous video, I mentioned how I was gonna try to go to a plant swap. I do have one plant swap that I'm going to tomorrow. I have a bunch of plants that I planted that I managed to keep alive through the sickness and miraculously the power outages, and I need to take some of them to this plant swap because I'm hoping to swap them for some other plants that we need so that I don't have to buy any of the additional plants that we don't have that we need for the garden. And I need to unload some of the plants that I have that are excess. I planted extra just in case some of them died. Well, a lot of them lived. Most of them have made it, and I actually have some to trade with this year, so I'm excited about that. Upon further inspection, I noticed that the plants went from looking like what you see here to quite poor over the course of about one day. Here they are now, and I realized I actually better hang on to these because it looks like a good half of them are going downhill rapidly. So I decided not to go to the plant sale. Honestly, I have got so much to do that I didn't mind too much. We're gonna make lemonade out of lemons here. I'm gonna just go through and see what I can salvage from all of these. And whatever extra I have, I will just see if my friends need them. Little homestead update. Don't leave yet though, because I still have tips for if you experience a lot of power outages. Before my husband ran out of work, we got some of these cages off of Vivor. I have started breeding chickens. I am doing Morans, cream leg bars, and a couple other varieties. I'm hoping to earn some income on our farm doing this. I have super high hopes for a good garden year. I feel like we've already gotten a really good head start compared to previous years. We've already got the garden tilled. It is ready. We started planting the lower half, which I walked you guys through in the previous video this week. If you'd like to laugh, I have a funny story. Easter morning, we joked about how our oldest son, who's an adult now, was the first to go Easter egg hunting. For about 5 days, he thought our ducks had slowed down production until he saw one of them come out from behind and under the duck hut. Yep, they had been hiding their eggs underneath the duck hut. We all had a good laugh about how the ducks hid their eggs from us for Easter. We have found that duck eggs work better in gluten-free recipes that call for eggs than chicken eggs do, and they work wonderful for pasta. Speaking of which, I have a new channel. It is all recipes. I even have a duck egg pasta recipe coming up. If you would like to follow the new channel, you can. I will leave it in the description box below. This is definitely a very true look of a homesteader's or farmer's table. We have eggs over here. We are processing. I've got garden seeds here. This is my basket for last year's garden seeds. I have new garden seeds for this year. Vinegar. This is homemade vinegar we've got going over here. Our power's been going off and on for the last 2 days, so it was out last night. So the kids had candles and a card game going here. Gotta put all this away. a lantern from when the power was out, and this is my candle basket. I use a lot of peroxide when the power goes out to disinfect things like this cutting board because I can't wash it down like I normally would be able to, but the peroxide helps to kill germs. Another thing that I found amazing through this power outage is my metal dish pan. I got this on Amazon. I used to have plastic ones, but I got discouraged with how difficult plastic ones become to clean. They get really grungy and impossible to clean after a while. This metal one is easy to disinfect, but I discovered through the power outage, it's also easy to put on the stove to heat up with the water inside and keep hot water on hand. Another cleaner that I like having on hand in a power outage is my citric acid cleaner. I used to make this and think I needed to heat it up. I found out I don't need to heat it up to make it. You can just put your vinegar in your jar. You could use water, but I like vinegar more. And I use about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of citric acid, and this makes the best descaler. You wouldn't want to use it on stone or granite countertops, of course, or on anything else that you're not supposed to use vinegar on, but this is a great cleaner. It decalcifies things within seconds. Thank you for watching to the end. I hope this series has blessed you. Come back on Monday. I'm starting a kitchen day series for the month of May. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you again for watching.